Hare Krishna, Gauranga. So, bringing on the next 30 key verses of the Bhagavad-Gita, last one in Knowledge of the Absolute, chapter 7. This one is text 23, and this is where a lot of conversation starts on Krishna telling Arjuna that we don't worship the demigods, and he goes into quite a bit of reason as to why. So we'll see if we can open that up, see what comes out. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 723. Antavat tufalam tesham tadvavat yapamedasam devan devayajo yanti mad bhakta yanti mamapi. Men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods, but my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. Om Ajnanatamarandasya Gyananjana Shalakya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Rupishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadama Yandadati Swapandatikam Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamaya Vaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachani Nirvishesha Sunyavai Paschachadi Sutani Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Mukham Kruti Vachalam Pangum Langayati Girim Yatkipatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Paramanandamadavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Nama Shreshtam Manamapi Sachiputra Atra Swarupam Rupam Tashagrajam Ruparamataram Goshtavatim Radha Kundam Girivaram Horadikamadavasham Prapto Yasha Pratita Kripaya Shri Gurum Tamatosmi. Purport by the English Prabhupada Ki Jai. Some commentators on the Bhagavad-Gita say that one who worships a demigod can reach the Supreme Lord, but here it is clearly stated that the worshippers of demigods go to the different planetary systems where various demigods are situated, just as a worshipper of the sun achieves the sun, or a worshipper of the demigod of the moon achieves the moon. Similarly, if anyone wants to worship a demigod like Indra, he can attain that particular god's planet. It is not that everyone, regardless of whatever demigod is worshipped, will reach the Supreme Person of Godhead. That is denied here, for it is clearly stated that the worshippers of demigods go to different planets in the material world, but the devotee of the Supreme Lord goes directly to the Supreme Planet of the Person of Godhead. So there's many different ways we can look at this. Bearing in mind, of course, these are just an introduction, and we're only just scraping the surface of this. This is seminars upon seminars, weeks of seminars on this concept of demigod worship, because depending on where you are in the world, half of the world doesn't even get the concept of demigods, but another half of the world obviously very rooted in demigod worship. So it depends on where you look at this, but certainly the idea of if you look at it from the material point of view and say, okay, if you want to become a PhD in mathematics, why are you going to the history class and learning history, or if you want to get into chemistry, why are you studying from the physics teacher, so naturally if you want Krishna, you want Krishna's planet, you want Krishna's association, then what do you expect to get if you ask the demigods, in that sense? The demigods are also looking for Krishna's blessing. They're also looking for Krishna's planet, They're enjoying in their different roles, their designated positions, but they also know that ultimately speaking, all the potency is coming from him. It's not their abilities, and sometimes, unfortunately, they do get caught up. Hence the reason their positions are not desirable. To become a demigod, as we said, it's already something we've probably done already. We're now back again in this earthly planet where the Sankirtan movement is in full, it's in full strength right now. So this is the place to be. The demigods want to come here to take part in the Sankirtan Yagya. When Krishna came to the earth, not as Lord Chaitanya, but as Krishna himself 5,000 years ago, all the demigods were told to come and take part, and that was one of their ways that they could go back to Godhead, not through their roles as demigods, but through taking part in the Sankirtan Yagya. So it's something to mention that their planets are also just material, with more enjoyment, more pleasure, better physical bodies, longer lives. We covered this in another class, but now this is going deeper into it. That if you want to get the full result, and worship the person who has everything, which is Krishna. Here the point may be raised that if the demigods are different parts of the body of the Supreme Lord, then the same end should be achieved by worshipping them. This is referring to, like in the Srimad Bhagavatam, how the universal body of the Lord is made up, with the demigods are forming different parts of that, his head, his feet, his arms, and so on and so forth. But perhaps I'll go on to explain this a bit further. However, worshippers of the demigods are less intelligent because they don't know to what part of the body food must be supplied. Some of them are so foolish that they claim that there are many parts and many ways to supply food. This isn't very sanguine. Can anyone supply food to the body through the ears or eyes? They do not know that these demigods are different parts of the universal body of the Supreme Lord, and, in their ignorance, they believe that each and every demigod is a separate god and a competitor of the Supreme Lord. So, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it speaks about how every time the demigods get into some difficulty, who do they go to? Vishnu. Why? Because he's the only person who can help. He's the only person who can free them from the trouble. So this is why the Bhagavatam is so potent and so relevant. It may seem to us that when you're struggling with the modes of material nature, your mind's giving you such a hard time. What has that got anything remotely to do with the demigods fighting the demons? Or Indra, appearing as a sannyasi or something. What's it going to do with anything? Because who does he take shelter of? When everything ultimately goes up in the air, and they finally realise that they can no longer do it themselves, they have to go to Vishnu. They have to go to Krishna. I just happened to mention in my last class about the Brahma Vimohan Leela, and that's again a perfect example that Lord Brahma, the creator of the universe, with all the potencies, abilities far beyond our wildest dreams, he saw Krishna sitting there with his friends, taking all the food from everyone's mouth and everyone's plate and just enjoying. And he actually got bewildered and thought, okay, I'm really powerful. What's this kid? This can't be Krishna. This can't be the Supreme Person of Godhead who created me with everything that I can do and have done, And then Krishna just completely blew him away with potency, He he replaced all the cows and all the boys with copies, continued to manifest them all for a full year, each one relishing more pleasure. The parents became more enlivened with their sons. The cows became more enlivened with their calves when Krishna was manifesting in that way. Even Lord Balaram, he of course understood fully what was going on, being the Supreme Person of Godhead himself, but still he was like, okay, I can see some mystic activity is going on here, because he was saying, what's happening, what have you done? And Krishna says, I'm manifesting. He was like, oh, okay, wow, fair enough, But then Lord Brahma, he was just staggered. He thought, okay, I'll come back and check, which for him was only a few minutes, but for us was an earthly 1 year. And he discovered they were gone. So he thought, okay, who could mess with my power? Yeah, well, Krishna can. The person who provides your power can take away, can put you in illusion, And then not only just to what do you say, rub salt in the wound, so to speak. The Lord then turns all the cows and calves, thousands and thousands of calves and cowherd boys, into Vishnu forms. And then Lord Brahma is just like, oh my God, what's going on? He's just smashed. He's completely devastated. He has he has nothing remotely powerful there in front of the Supreme Person of Godhead's mere manifestation, Now, of course, we then hear the beautiful, wonderful prayers he goes on to state before the Lord. He's saying that I hear people saying that they know so much. I hear people saying that they know God and they know His energies, but I can tell you that I don't know anything. And this is the essentially the topmost being in the material universe, right? So we have to really accept that point that okay, fine, we may not always be qualified in the material sense to just speak to the president of a big company, or the president of the country, or the head of the university, or whatever it is. We may not be qualified always right away, but the idea is that if you really need to get something done, or you really need to find something out, go to that highest person. So when it comes to spiritual life, it follows that slightly different rule. That you still have to become qualified to meet Krishna. But from day one, except for of course the devotees who are there to guide and help you, and for the spiritual master, don't get caught up in the secretaries and the side players. Go straight to Krishna directly. From the minute we're aware that Krishna is there, then always start directing our prayers and desires and reaching out for shelter to him. Because he's the only person that can give all those things. Ultimately, it's Krishna that directs you to the spiritual master. Ultimately, it's Krishna that provides the answers to the devotees. Ultimately, it's Krishna that provides that mercy, that intelligence, in these things. And if the demigods do give something because you ask them, it's also they have to take from Krishna to give, in that sense. So their power to give is only just, again, Krishna's power. So we might as well skip past that step and just try to go directly to the Supreme Person of Godhead. Not only are the demigods parts of the Supreme Lord, but the ordinary living entities are also. But the ordinary living entities are also. So we're essentially on the same level as the demigods, just less powerful. So we're just peers, only they might be a bit more advanced, or a bit more beautiful, or a bit more materially capable. So we all, have to engage in the Sankirtan Yagya together. Same boat, different levels. In the Srimad Bhagavad-Gita it is stated that the Brahmins are the head of the Supreme Lord, the Kshatriyas are his arms, the Vaishyas are his waist, the Shudras are his legs, and all serve different functions. Regardless of the situation, if one knows that both the demigods and he himself are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, his knowledge is perfect. But if he does not understand this, he achieves different planets where the demigods reside. This is not the same destination as devotee reaches. The results achieved by the demigods' benedictions are perishable because within this material world the planets, the demigods, and their worshippers are all perishable. Therefore it is clearly stated in this verse that all results achieved by worshipping demigods are perishable, and therefore such worship is performed by the less intelligent living entity. Because the pure devotee engaged in Krishna consciousness and devotional service of the Supreme Lord achieves eternal blissful existence that is full of knowledge, his achievements and those of the common worshipper of the demigods are different. The Supreme Lord is unlimited, his favour is unlimited, his mercy is unlimited. Therefore the mercy of the Supreme Lord upon his pure devotees is unlimited. So, not much really to say on that very, very clear point from Srila Prabhupada. These are to help us become convinced. When you can see that the demigods that go to Krishna, their fruits are limited and temporary. What they can give would be sanctioned by Krishna anyway. Why, in any shape or form, would you want to then make them your point of worship? And of course we don't say, and Prabhupada, as I said, this topic of demigod worship goes on in many verses. It's not just this one. So please, if there's any difficulty with this point in understanding or accepting, naturally go deeper into the topic. But the idea is we don't say that we don't give any respect to the demigods. Devotees are giving respect to everybody, seeing everyone as higher. That is the mood of a devotee. So we understand that the demigods are empowered by the Lord. So we respect that capability. But again, that's as far as it goes. We don't put them on the same equal position as Krishna. So go into this topic. There's not just even, obviously Prabhupada speaks in the Bhagavad, Krishna himself speaks in the Bhagavad Gita very, very heavily on this. Srila Prabhupada covers it in depth in the purports, but there's many seminars and different lecture series where you can pick up devotees, looking at it from different angles of vision. and we can get a bit more clear understanding. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol.